Elvis for most of the rest of Elvis's career.
Well, hello, tasting. Anyhow, yeah, I played 3 years with him, and then took 2 years vacation, and went back to work with him in 1975 till he died.
I asked you a little bit earlier, do you need to hear some of your own voice?
Yeah.
Hey, Brandon, can you turn up a little of his voice there in his monitor so he can hear himself? I asked you earlier if you had at least one special story that you could tell us about touring with Elvis. One that's PG.
Well, I need to hear more of my voice. I'm not getting enough voice in here at all. I sound like I'm this big, you know.
Brandon, can you crank him up a little bit, buddy?
He did, yeah.
Good.
Okay, there I am. Yeah, this isn't about touring really, but I came from the West Coast, San Francisco. I was the only Yankee in the band after I joined, yeah. And I grew up listening to black music, the radio stations, and when I was 12 years old, I'd lay in bed and listen to rhythm and blues and jazz. And that was my exposure to music when I was a boy. And so I didn't like Elvis Presley. So. Hang on, But I didn't. I thought he was a white guy trying to sound black. And I was in high school at that time, and all the kids would listen to him on the jukebox, and I'd go, God, how can those fools listen to this crap? So, years later, I went to Los Angeles, and I became a studio musician. And you had to sort of play every kind of music you could. So I was sitting home one night with my ex-wife, and I got a phone call, and it was James Burton. And I had done an album with James somewhere, but I didn't remember who he was. So it just out of the blue, I'm sitting here. So he said, we're putting together a band in 1969. And to go into Las Vegas, and we'd like you to come down here and play with us. And I said to my wife, I said, you're not going to believe this. They want me to come down and play with Elvis tomorrow. And she said, oh, come on, you have to be kidding, because she didn't like Elvis either. So I said, well, I'm just going to go down and just see who he is and meet him, you know, I'm curious. So I walked into the rehearsal studio, and I had on cut-off jeans, sandals, long hair, and beard. And none of the other people had long hair at that time. And Elvis got up, was sitting on a stool across from me, and he walked across the whole rehearsal studio with his hand out to me, and he looked great. He had on no rock and roll clothes. He had a beautiful cashmere sweater, probably, and slacks and everything. So he got the other side, and he said, Jerry, yeah, thank you for coming down with us. And I'm thinking, wow, this is a nice guy. And he said, so I looked at him and I said, well, you know, Elvis, I don't know any of your songs. And he started laughing, and he said, can you play the blues? And I said, yeah, I can play the blues. And he said, let's go play some blues. So we went over and got on the bandstand. James Burton started playing, and Elvis came in, and the hair stood up on my arms. And I thought, well, I'm missing something. What is this? And so anyhow, we played these blues songs, and he said, great, you got the job. So I went home and I told my wife, I said, you're not going to believe this. I'm going to work with Elvis. And she said, "You're kidding me." You come down there tomorrow and you meet him and listen to him and then tell me what you think. So she went down the next day and she became an Elvis fan. So anyhow, smartest move I ever made. You know?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be sitting here tonight if I had turned that thing.
Jerry, a little bit later tonight, we're going to show a little piece of video and talk about Ron Tutt a little bit later on. And I want to, before we go any further, I wanted to see if you would share at least one story about Ron Tutt, because we all love Ron. We all know what an incredible player Ron is. But for me, at least, you two guys together had to be the most accomplished, daring, brave rhythm section that I've ever heard. Because I heard you put it the way you put it a little bit earlier about trying to keep up with Elvis and his movement and everything that he did on stage, and yet you and Ron were always just locked in together, so solid. It was so wonderful, and it was just it added all that excitement that Elvis wanted to have on stage and that he brought to the stage. But you guys, y'all built that excitement together, and it was probably the most amazing feat of a bass player and a drummer together. And don't you guys think so? I mean, it's unbelievable.
Going back to that first day that I went down and played with him, excuse me, there was a drummer that was there. His name was Gene Pello, and he was a Los Angeles studio musician, and he played on some of the Motown things. I worked on some dates with him. He's sort of what you call a tight-ass drummer. He played really in time and everything, but there wasn't that little bit of a groove going on there, you know. So he was playing when I first got up there, when we got up and played the blues, and so he got off and he walked over to the Memphis Mafia, who were standing over here, and they're clapping him on the back, and they're saying, "Yeah, you got it. You got the job, Gene." Yeah. And so he's standing there, and all of a sudden, Larry Mahobarak, who was the piano player on that, said, "Elvis," he said, "my friend back here drove all the way out here from Dallas with his drums," because I told him, you know, the auditioning drummers. And Elvis said, "Oh, no, don't, I'm sorry." He said, "Okay," he said, "Ronnie," said, you go set up your drums." And Ronnie said, "Those are my drums." So Ronnie got up on the drums, adjusted them a little bit, and we started playing some other blues things, And I looked over at Gene Pello, this drummer over with the Memphis Mafia, and I could, the minute Ronnie started playing, I saw his face go. He knew that he had lost the job with Elvis. And it was true. There was Ronnie, and he just had that make you want to wiggle your butt and feel. And that's what Elvis was. And Elvis never ever told Ronnie or me what to play. He let us play whatever we wanted to play. And that was the beauty of the thing, you know. So we could play as long as the crowd didn't start laughing. So anyhow, that's my story about Ronnie Tutt.
Well, I wonder. This is a personal choice of mine and a favor to ask, and that is if you would join us and play a little bit of Polk Salad Annie. That'd be all right?
Okay, if I'm. Okay.
Yeah.
The alligators grow so mean. I stepped up, girl, and I swear to the world, any alligator look tame. Folks said, if you got to man. Everybody said it was a shame, 'cause the mama wasn't working on the chain. Man, this is